over spring break. And so he is going to share with us about his trip. And basically the rest of the time is his. So if you have questions, should they wait to the end? Or is it okay if they...
They can ask. It's by the time they come to that, they'll see quite a few pictures.
Okay. But if you have a question, seriously, raise your hand. Don't interrupt him. So.
Raise your hand.
Right.
And
polite.
Yeah.
All right.
Thought about something funny, but nothing came out.
All right, take it away, Ben.
Okay. So I am Matt.
Sorry, I wanted to...
So as many as you know, last spring break I went to the Dominican Republic with Friendship Community Church from Victoria, and this is the church down in the Dominican. We showed up on a Saturday night and we went to church the next morning, and that's Emily, Amanda, Laurel, and then Jackie. We showed up early, so we took over. This was our side of the church. No one else was there when we showed up, so we took over our side of the road, and then all the locals had the other side of the road. But yeah, it was basically just a giant tent. That was their bathroom, which seems like nothing, but when you're in the middle of nowhere and don't have a bathroom, it's nice to have one. And they built this. I think the last time they were there, the last team built this one, and it was right on a river, which was cool. This is why we couldn't drink out of the water. As cool as those horses and cows are, they're peeing in our water. So we showered in that water, but we did not drink that water. Because it's cool to see them gallivanting through the water, except when they're pooing us. Not so cool. That's just this is later. This guy here, I believe his name was Augustine. He was the pastor in the Dominican down there. And this is Byron from Friendship, our pastor. And that's Paul and his wife Sharon. They started House Upon the Rock ministry. That's who we're with down there. They've been there like 18 years or something. That's Augustine's wife. She's short. This was a little fencing around their church. This was the second church. Because actually, I'll stop here. I'll stop there. So, this church was, when we showed up on Sunday, they got evicted the week before. And down there, if you're renting and the owner just wants to sell it, he'll just sell it, and they don't have to give you any time to move out. They can tell you, get out the next day. So they had a week to move out, and the pastor and his family were living on the property as well. And we found out this a week before. We had a commissioning service in Victoria before we left, and we packed supplies and stuff. So we found out a week before we left that they're getting evicted from their church. And when Pastor Byron told his congregation, a man in their church gave a $20,000 check for the Dominican church to buy land, for they wouldn't get evicted again. So we came down, and we knew this as a team already. We knew that they were giving $20,000 to the Dominican. But they didn't know that. And Byron would say it in English, and Sharon would translate it into Spanish. So as Byron was about to say, "We gave you $20,000," we're sitting there kind of just, "Oh yeah, we know this is coming. I'm sure they'll enjoy it, and we're doing a good thing." And that's kind of all there was to it at that moment. But they didn't know this. So when Sharon told them they got however many pesos it was way more impressive in pesos. They were just absolutely floored and thrilled, and you'd expect that. They got money for a church, for a property for their church, and you kind of, at that moment, that's just what you thought. You're like, oh, of course they'd be excited. But as I learned later about what they actually were thinking, is it wasn't that they just got $20,000, is the fact that they got $20,000 from some guy in Canada. And if they know anything about Canada, it's Toronto, and that's like, I don't even think they know there's a West Coast. Same with the States. New York is like all of America. So they don't even know where this guy came from a land they don't really know anything about, and that guy gave them money because he believed what they were doing was the right thing in promoting God's kingdom. That's what they were thinking when they got that money. And I didn't realize that till later, and I think so often we'll have groups come here and you feel bad, or you feel it's your Christian duty to give them some money, like whatever you have, or write a $100 check, and that's kind of the end of it. Just you're like, I've done my part, going for a good cause, and that's kind of the end of it. But to actually see what that money does for the people and what they're thinking, for me, anyways, that was for those giving opportunities. I'll remember those faces. They are overjoyed that somebody from they don't know where gave them money because what they were doing was the right thing that God wanted to keep going. So that aspect of thinking, we don't necessarily get that in North America. Like when someone gives a few $100,000 to build a church, well, he's not selling his house to do it. It's kind of in his funds, which isn't bad at all. But for them, it's just mind-boggling why someone from they don't know where to give it to them. We'll have people who give to a church that often live in the same country or even the same state or province or town even. There is like, where is this? They all call us Americanos. So we're like, we're Canadienses, and they're like, okay. Like, who are they? So for them, for me, it was so impacting just the way that what it meant to them. And I hope, yeah, on there. How do I get out of X, Peter?
Go to the top. No.
The corner that we can't see.
Do you see it?
Okay, it's recording.
No, X. Big red X in the corner. Okay, got it.
Big red X. And then, where's the other one? I don't, go back.
It's right here.
Are we recording?
I always have to just watch
Just watch this and...
Just don't tap on it.
Joshua, it's for his school.
this.
Okay, so
I'm saying hi to my future.
this is one of the houses. Noah is the guy right here. You'll see a better picture of him. This was the house he was staying in before we built his house, which, as you can see, not very nice. This is Noah right here. This is Pastor Byron. There's Noah again. That's Emily, Byron's daughter. This is Paul, but everyone called him Pablo, so I'll probably call him Pablo. Noah again, and his two kids, and I believe he had another baby, and I don't think I ever met his wife. I don't know, they all look the same. They all think we look the same. And there's kids everywhere, so you're like, I don't know who kids these actually are, because they just seem to be around all the time. So I know those two are his kids, and I'm pretty sure he had a baby, and I didn't meet his wife, but she was around. So that was the house he was living in. More kids. That was Reggie. He was from an American team that joined us near the end from North Carolina with their southern accents. This was another house that the team had built years ago. Don't know what that is. These were like the kitchens in another house they built a couple of teams ago. Nice propane. This was one of the people's Bibles from, I'm not even sure what the guy's name was. This was the guy who owned this house right here. I think that was the last one. This is another house they built. Another one they built for a blind lady. That was an avocado tree. Okay, back to that one. I don't think there's pictures of Noah's house in his new one. Do I tap file?
Oh. A little over more.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Just the back. Okay, oh, here's Noah's house. This is one.
No, other side. Double tap. There you go.
I'll figure that out. So these are the streets coming up to Noah's house. In Spanish, it's like Noe or something like that. So I just called him Noah because it was easier. Noe. I wasn't sure if it was that or something slightly different. But these were the streets coming up to it. These little triangle things for the ring beam. Well, actually, I won't get to the ring beam yet. For the triangles, we made triangles, and then we put like 10-foot long pieces of rebar in the corners of the triangles and tied them together.